Hi, this is Xavier Holmes, and this video is about the effectiveness of communication in the workplace. This is Class 2 BM 252 with Professor Michelle Speach. And let's get into my references is Communication is Key by Xavier Holmes, The 1 Minute Manager by Blanchard, Smart Tribes by Comerford and Lynch, Ubuntu by Marenti. All right, so I'm going to be talking about Perform, which is an acronym which explains why communication is essential, and I'm going to go over that. Also, the 5 communication style is another thing that I'll be going over, and the philosophy word Ubuntu is what I would go over. All right, so five, no, perform, acronym perform stands for purpose, empowerment, relationship, flexibility, optimal productivity, recognition and appreciation, and morale. So purpose, okay. Purpose, when you talk to one of your employees, because this is what it's about, this is about being a supervisor or being a top manager or being someone with having a team. And when you have a purpose, the idea is to talk to them while they are around other people. So when you talk to them, it feels like it is an embedded uh, obligation for them to do it. They will want to do it because they will look, it will look honorable on them to show that you asked for a task and you accomplished it, which rolls into empowerment. So when they accomplish that goal, they feel empowered because I you will show they will show that they are able and to understand and accomplish what is asked of them, and that is a very powerful thing, to actually do what is being asked of you. That is all what work is being having objectives and completing them. And then after empowerment comes relationships. So relationships mean like you should have a good steady relationship with your employees. It should be not too cordial but not too firm at the end of the day, because you don't want them thinking that you're their best friend, so then they, when you ask them to do something, they kind of blow you over. They like, oh, he ain't gonna really get mad or she ain't gonna really get mad if I don't do it at this time. And you don't want that. And you don't want to be too firm, because if you be too firm, you're gonna scare people away. That's what turnover will come in. People will talk bad about you as being a manager, and you don't want that. You don't want to be the bad guy. Like everyone tries to be the bad guy, but they realize that being a bad guy is not really a good position to be in. Flexibility. You have to be flexible with your employees for them to be motivated. You have to actually give a little to get a little. So with that being said, you have to understand that sometimes your workers might have something going on, and you cannot be too strict with them. You have to be understanding and caring for them to roll over into being a better worker, because then they was like, hey, he or she was there for me when I needed them the most. They was caring. They cared about what I was going through, and they didn't just like send commands to me while I was going through this. So your flexibility can change that worker into being a star player. And now that you have that star player, other other companies are looking at this player and they're like, "Wow, I really want this person." But guess what? They're not going to leave. Why? Because they have loyalty to you for what you did. Flexibility. Optimal productivity. So what this means to me is whatever your team has, whatever team you have, they have the obligation that they all know how to do their job. They all should know how to do their job because they're there in the first place. So, with that being said, you should always know that your team should know what to do when you ask of them. Recognition and appraisement. So when you recognize your team, you know, you gotta get recognition, you gotta get feedback, you gotta let them know that like they're doing a good job. You have to, because if they don't, then they're not going to know if they should keep going or should they stop. Should they stop? No, they shouldn't. They keep going so they can get a better status in their job. And morale, the last one. Morale, last to me of the acronym perform. Uh, being understanding. Morale, be caring. Like things happen. Not everything in your life is not going on in their life. So that was the acronym perform. And then, all right, the 5 communication style. So now that we're into the 5 communication style, it stands for promises, info sharing, requests, debating slash decision making, point providing slash sharing oneself. So let's go on with promises. Okay, that's the first step. Promises. So when when you have a team and you ask them to do something, that is basically a promise. That goal is a promise. You give them the opportunity to accomplish something. You made something. You brought something into the light, and now it's their turn. It's their turn to actually do something with it. That's the first part of the communication style. Info sharing. Info sharing is with the team. When you have a team, you want to share your info. You want to give them the juice. You want to give them what 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 can help them succeed in the mission. The mission is to get the job done. And if you're withholding information, it makes it harder for the whole team to adjust. They now, instead of them working straight on the mission, they have to find what you did not give them, which is why would you want that? Why would you want to make them work harder than what they are already doing? So share your info. Tell them that, hey, this client doesn't like this type of material. Instead of them finding out like they do it and then they use the material and then they get a bad review saying, hey, they didn't understand me, which you don't want that. You could have avoided that whole scenario. Now let's get off of info sharing. Requests. Okay, so there's a way of talking to people. You don't give out commands. You don't just say, hey, I want to leave work. You say, may I leave work a little early today? That's what you do. So when you do that, you show the initiative that you actually care about the other person. You tell them like, hey, I'm not saying that I need to leave. I'm asking. So asking does a lot. It helps out in the long run. It really does. So always be open to talking to your employees and be open with them. Debating slash decision making. We're gonna break this in half. Okay, so debating is very essential because when you debate, you talk to them and you explain your reasonale with how you feel about a certain topic. You do not let it get into your head. You do not get too emotional with this. If you get too emotional, then then the whole debate is worthless. Like it was all for nothing. You don't want that. You want to be able to explain yourself in a very, sophisticated way, and telling them what you feel and why you feel the way that you feel. And you should always do that. And then decision making. Decision making is very big too, and it's very essential because when you decide to do something, you have to be firm with what you commit to. You have to commit to it. You can't just say, hey, you say one thing and then you do another. You have to decide on what you want to do and you stick to it. That's what decision making means to me. Also with decision making, you have to be a role model. You have to be a role model for your team. You have to always stick to what you believe in. You can't change for nobody, because then if you change, then you won't know who you are at the end of the day. That explains a lot. You want to know who you are at the end of the day. And then after that, it is point providing. When you point provide, you use very like essential. You use logic. Use reasoning, like why you feel the way that you feel. Don't just say something and then think that other people's gonna take it in. That's not how the world works. You have to actually have, you know, you gotta have backup. You gotta have, like, I want to say, evidence. Yeah, that's the word I want to use. I was like, what word I want to use is evidence. You gotta have evidence backing up your claims. If you have evidence backing up your claims, then it holds firmer in the hearts of your team and the people listening to what you have to say when you point providing. Sharing oneself. Okay, sharing oneself. This is a very essential, but sometimes people overdo it too much. When you share yourself, you share it sparingly. You do not share your whole self, because you should let people, put the missing pieces in while they're trying to figure you out. They shouldn't know exactly who you are, where you're at, and everything. No, 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 that's not, no, don't do that. Because then, don't do that. Don't do that. But the thing is, you share. So, like, let's say something happened, you share a story about yourself, and then your workers listen to you, and they're like, wow, wow, this person really is a very good like leader. Like, he wasn't always a leader, and he changed. He made a better version of himself, and he's here today trying to push that on us. He's not trying to force it, but he's asking of us. That's very essential. So that was the 5 communication style. Do y'all have any questions? Oh wait, y'all can't ask any questions. But the thing is that, you know, the communication style is very. You have to talk to your employees. That's Ubuntu. Let's get back on track. The African philosophy, which means I am because we all are, and that's very good though, because the thing is that in some African cultures, talking with how I want to say, you are not who you are unless you have a team backing you up. That's how you figure out who you are and what you all about. And that's very strong though, because you got to know what you represent. And then when you have somebody backing you up, it's like a train. It's like a train. No one can stop you. Like, you just keep going on, pushing through, pushing through, pushing through. You have a whole team behind you. And like the fact that it comes from Africa, that they're saying that, hey, you are only who you are because who you stand, the people that stand behind you. I didn't think that would be like, I didn't think, that African philosophy would be like that. I didn't think that would, I didn't think that, I didn't think that. I didn't, in my mind, I was like, oh, everybody try to do individuality, but that's not what they believe in. So this is coming to a close. Communication is a huge role in motivating your work team and your employees, and knowing how to use it is very essential. Sometimes a lot of distractions happen. You can't let other distractions. You can't let other people's feelings or how they feel about stuff distract you from what you got going on in front of you. You got to keep going. And communication and talking to these people is the way of doing it. This ends this video. My name is Xavier Holmes. This is my video in the class of BM 252, and Professor Michelle Speach is my teacher. Thank you and have a good day.